So the controversy surrounding the British General Alan Skilling continues today, with a General's scheduled interview about his work in Afghanistan taking place this morning. General Skilling was accused last week of ordering the waterboarding of an innocent civilian from Afghanistan, thought at the time to be connected to Al-Qaeda. A full criminal investigation into the accusations began last week. The interview is rumoured to be carried out by famed reporter Liam Martin, who came to prominence by acting as a key witness in the Spinotti-Myers case last month. Will the General elaborate on the current scandal, or will he stay silent? We will find out when the interview is most likely published in the next few days. I'm Stacey Richards, reporting for BBC Radio 5.
General Alan Tilling.
Liam Martin.
Yeah. So, how are you today?
Fine.
Are we on?
So, General Tilling, do you think you could tell us about some of the work you've been doing in Afghanistan?
Yes, of course. Well, the situation in Afghanistan, especially in Helmand province, has proven more successful in the last 6 weeks than perhaps in the last 2 years. The key improvement is that we have gained more control in this area.
So why has it taken so long to achieve something which you should be able to do in a matter of months?
Well, of course, as you might appreciate, every battlefield is different. Every enemy that you face is different. They have varying levels of skill. These things take time.
Define waterboarding.
I thought this interview was only going to cover my work in Afghanistan.
We did.
Waterboarding is an interrogation technique. It's been around since the 15th, 16th century. It involves securing an individual, bound and gagged, to an inclined surface with their head facing down. A cloth is placed over their nose and mouth, and water is poured onto the cloth. The water trickles into their nose and down their throat, and it causes an involuntary gag reflex. To all intents and purposes, the subject believes that they are drowning.
Do you believe that waterboarding is an acceptable form of interrogation?
Well, at a time of war, if the circumstances are right, if the stakes are high enough.
That's not what I asked you. Do you personally believe that waterboarding is an acceptable form of interrogation regardless of circumstances?
No, I don't.
Do you think that waterboarding is a grey area issue?
Define a grey area issue.
A grey area issue is an issue for which there are passionate opinions both for and against.
For example?
Abortion is one, right? Some people will believe that a woman has the option to choose whether to terminate the pregnancy or not, whereas some people will see that abortion is wrong full stop because it's ending the life of a child regardless of its age. With waterboarding, some people might agree that it is an effective weapon if the outcome affects people's lives. Some people view it as torture, which shouldn't be used in any situation. So, do you think it's a grey area issue?
I think it's a matter of individual choice. I think if the... Is there a problem, Mr. Martin?
Well, I just think people would like to hear your honest opinion, since you are, after all, accused of the illegal act of waterboarding, and someone who turned out to be innocent in the first place.
I don't think it's illegal.
Really? I mean, are you familiar with Article 5 of the Declaration of Human Rights? Article 5 of the Declaration of Human Rights, and I quote, "No one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment." How about the Geneva Convention? Are you familiar with that? Well, if you were, you'd be aware that waterboarding violates that too.
Is there a point to this coming up anytime soon?
Yeah, waterboarding is torture, plain and simple.
So, you think that these people are involved in demonstrating against waterboarding, who've actually been waterboarding people at these rallies, do you think these people are also involved or guilty of torture?
Well, no, because there's no violent intent there. What you're accused of doing is doing it with violent intent.
So, do you think that everyone involved with this act should be punished?
Do you? I mean, you know, take Dick Cheney, for example, 2-term Vice President of the United States. You know, he's bragged about it being used, and I don't see him being charged. Do you believe that in combat, as long as the mission is completed, the ends completely justify the means?
It depends on the circumstances. If there are people's lives at stake, then yes, I do. But I have a question for you now. Tell me about the Spinotti-Myers case.
Why?
Well, we've both been in the news lately. Call it professional curiosity.
The Spinotti-Myers case was a case on which I'd been an investigative journalist. I'd have been called to trial to give evidence, which resulted in the defendant being given a 20 to life sentence.
And what would you say if I told you that I had evidence that you had, I don't know, lied under oath?
What evidence?
That doesn't matter. All you need to know is that
Before, when I said that people would want an honest opinion of a scandal in which you'd been accused of the death of an innocent person by illegal means, you said it wasn't illegal.
Yes.
Well, surely in this situation, an innocent person would be more concerned with the fact that an innocent person had died rather than the legality of how they died. Right, so take for instance, there's 3 friends and one of them has killed one of the other 2. When the other 2 are confronted about it, which one do you think would have been concerned with the fact that someone had died? And which one do you think would have been concerned with how they'd died?
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying I think you ordered the waterboarding, because if you hadn't, you would have answered me by addressing the fact that an innocent person had died, but you didn't. It didn't even seem to make a difference to you that someone had died unnecessarily.
Now you listen to me. And you listen well. Because I don't want a single word of this interview printed. Not one word. Do you understand me? Because if you do, I will happily release that you lied under oath. And then when would your professional integrity be with the Woodward and Bernsteins of this world?